Hello, and welcome to that Eurovision podcast, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. My name is Rory, and I'm doing very, very well today. It's been a bit kind of cold and rainy here, but that's perfectly fine with me because, I'm in love with all of this kind of weather, and I'm just so excited for this episode. And joining me.
Jazzy, it is a very different story here weather-wise. It's very sunny, and that's quite appropriate because I am very happy and excited about what we have in store today.
Hi, it's Rosie. It's very similar to Jazzy here in that it is very, very warm. I have just finished work for the day and I have a giant pile of fruit gums at the side of my bed, and I am absolutely hyped for today's episode.
Ooh. All right, Tim here. And I'm sorry, Rory, you're very outnumbered on this, but it's very hot where I am right now. So that it's so much resorted that I've got a fan and an air cooler right next to me, and luckily enough that you guys can't hear it whirring in the background. But yes, I just finished work as well, so I'm very, 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 very excited for today.
Oh, I can't believe this is happening, to be honest, but it's fantastic. I'm so looking forward to it. Yes, so this week we're going to be joined by the absolutely fabulous Lesley Roy, who was going to represent Ireland in 2020. Hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be representing us in 2021. Hello, it's Rory here from the editing booth. Due to some technical difficulties, the start of the interview, for some reason, wasn't recorded. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to jump a little bit ahead into the interview, but hopefully that should be fun. You're not missing out on anything major anyway. So, yeah, enjoy.
Oh no, it's totally my fault. I've done this a couple of times where I keep getting so I've been going kind of back and forth through Central Time. I was in Nashville for a month and then we came back to Kentucky, and there's just a 1 hour difference. So I did it again and I screwed up the start time of the call. I did it a few weeks ago as well, where I'm like, it's definitely 4 hours behind. No, it's 5 hours behind. So it's my bad. I'm very, very, very sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's
Right.
fine. We were just having a catch up anyway. We hadn't spoken to each other in a while, so we were just having a bit of a catch up.
Okay, very good, fantastic. And I really enjoyed your episode, so I wanted to reach out and at least connect with you guys.
Oh, that's great.
Aw,
Thank you so
thank
much
you.
for listening to it. Obviously, we always get so humbled when someone listens to our podcast, and the fact that it's someone who's actually involved with Eurovision now. I feel like it's such a dream come true.
Oh, good, 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 good. Well, you guys did a great job, and I love connecting with, I hate the word fan, but the fans of the show, as a fan myself, and just outside of being an artist, it's so nice to, I think now I've been studying people's opinions and thoughts and wants and hates for the past 3 months. So I love the episode, and thanks for having me on here for this next episode.
Hey, no, it's fine. No worries at
No
all. I mean,
worries.
you're always welcome on here anyway, Lesley. You're always welcome.
Cheers, great.
That's great. The first question for me is just how long were you working on sort of Story of My Life, even before Eurovision even kicked off, before your Eurovision story had kind of even taken off?
Yeah, great question. Well, Story of My Life, it was a couple of years old, as I've said in a few interviews, before I'd sent it in. But all together, when I went back over it with the producer and our songwriters, tried to figure out exactly how long the song actually took to kind of finish up. And really, it was about 4 to 5 months before I had a final demo. And there was a few factors that went into that. When I started it, I was going back and forth between Nashville and a place I was staying in down here with my in-laws in Louisville. So there was a timing factor where I was in the studio for a minute and then the producer was available for the following week. So there was some timing things where it did take a little bit of time to finalize the vocals. But really, and again, I've said it before, one of the main things that took so much time on that song was I became quite psycho on how to get that melody exactly how I heard it in my head. And it just took a few extra sessions to get it where I wanted it. Past a lot of the other writers on the song were totally fine with a version of it an early version of it, but I felt it was missing something. And quite funnily enough, it was just missing the na 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 part. As simple as that may sound, that took me a few extra weeks to actually get that to a place that made sense in my head.
Wow. I mean, you think because it sounds like such a simple melody as well, like the kind of the childish thing, and I guess that's kind of what you were going for as well, because it's to kind of keep that sort of youth and that kind of zest for life is what you were kind of going for. And that's how I see it anyway. But like, it just
Yeah.
sounds like it fits so well.
Yeah, and sometimes those things happen quite quickly on a session. And for this example, this one dragged out a little bit because the other writers had two other normal lyric lines that made sense and the melody made sense, but it just felt, I don't know, I needed something more that gave it another kind of hook within the hook. And that for me was that part. So before I sent it over to Ireland to RTE, I had this song and so many other different people were going to record it, and it never quite made sense when I heard vocals back and just different things happen with it. So I had this song in my back pocket and it was driving me crazy. Like I said, I kind of became a bit fanatical about getting this song out into the world. And as a fan, I've said this many times, of the Eurovision, growing up watching it at home in Ireland, it was something that's always been kind of on my songwriter bucket list. So I thought, well, maybe this would be a way of, two birds, one stone. I'll send in this song. It will go out into the universe and kind of get it off my laptop and out of my head. And also, maybe I might be able to do something for Ireland and like this vision that I have for the Eurovision for Ireland. And kind of in keeping with what you guys brought up on the episode that I listened to, in changing Ireland's where we are on the scoreboard, after the past 10 years. And I really have a vision and a dream to be able to help do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think it was a great kind of stepping stone into kind of like getting that sort of thing back, because we had Ryan O'Shaughnessy obviously in 2018, and then we had Sarah McTurnan, which unfortunately just didn't seem to work out well, which is a shame because it was such a good song. So I think, it was definitely like going to be a good progression and definitely try to get back into, oh yeah, we're going to get back into the top 10 now, especially with like this song.
Yeah, and that was my vision for it and why I sent such a hard-hitting melodic song. And that was the team's vision. And again, another thing that like jumped out from the podcast and I kind of wanted to chat with you guys about is that, and I try and speak for them, but I shouldn't really speak for them. I think RTE in hiring This Is Pop Baby and in taking a chance with the vision that I had, we are really trying to establish that and kind of come back swinging with a bang. And unfortunately, we didn't get to do that this year, but I do feel that the drive and the passion is really still there to change where we are and how we're seen across the the Eurovision spectrum.
Yeah, it did feel like this year Ireland were trying something like more different to what they've been trying like the previous couple of years, and I felt like Story of My Life did make more of an impact than entries maybe in the last couple of years. So I feel like they were on the right track. Unfortunately, things happened and the contest didn't go ahead, but hopefully they carry on that track because it was a good stepping stone, I guess.
Complete. Yeah, I think so. Like, I think we achieved like a lot, even if you factor in that it didn't go ahead. We are the song and myself as an artist like got so much more press, I even think, than we would have in the past few years outside of Ryan. And even if it's bad, some people that didn't like parts of that melody or that had a nostalgic feel, it's still, we were still making a splash, or we're still having people talk about it, and people were still excited to see what was going to happen on the night just because of what the song was. It was the first song in the last 10 years that's gone top 20 in Ireland as a Eurovision song. So I think we're definitely on the right page.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I didn't actually know that it went into the top 20 in Ireland. So that's like a great sense as well. Because obviously with a lot of sort of Irish sort of Eurovision songs, you don't really hear it that often on sort of the radio, or, you don't get much promotion until the actual night. So the fact that it was getting a lot of airplay on, say, like Radio 1 or 2FM, etc., it was actually a good sign that, you know, people were kind of rallying behind the song. I think it definitely needed to happen because it was an absolute banger.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was great. And we felt all of the love from it. And unfortunately, we were just getting started. Like, really, the rehearsals were just about to start. And, you know, the Late Late Show did not go the way I wanted it to go at all. That was a complete disaster.
Oh,
But, like,
no.
that being said, everything else was really lining up for us to have what I think myself, Philly, and Michael Keeley wanted on the night, and that is to get on the proper side of the scoreboard. You know, people talk about, are you going to win again? Is it going to be Ireland's 8th win? Like, that's that's a lovely thought, but like, really, my vision is to get us back on the proper side of the scoreboard and get us in that top 10. I think would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, I can see it happening now. It's going to happen. I can feel it in my bones.
Just like talking about Ireland in Eurovision, I just would like to know, what are your some of your favourite Irish entries at Eurovision? Like,
Nice. Yeah, nice question. And I heard all of yours, which were all great songs too.
Aw.
I think, you know, going back to when I really kind of felt that spark of as a kid and thinking about, well, you know, I knew I was getting into music, but when I saw Paul and Charlie and, you know, Niamh win, and kind of when it hit me, when you're that age, and maybe you guys can speak to this too, although a lot of you are a lot younger than I am, when it dawns on you the scale of the Eurovision and what it does for an artist or a song and the country and the excitement that it creates. When I was like, whatever age I was, when I was watching Paul and Charlie, and it hit me how big it was, I was like, oh God, this is something I would love to do, but the song has to be absolutely fantastic. It has to give you the chills like what I was watching as a kid. So I think Rock and Roll Kids was very big for me. In Your Eyes was massive. Obviously the Linda and Johnny's, you know, Johnny's hits are wonderful, but I think those really stood out for me because it really connected with me, that it was like, okay, this is really bigger than just something that's on telly, you know, once a year. This is like a movement, you know, this is happening all over Europe. And there's people in my, you know, my little estate in Balbriggan, we were running out on the streets with flags. Like, it was like a soccer tournament. So I think those are like some of my favorite Irish songs. I thought Ryan did a great job again. RTE was really starting to switch into the right gear. So I think we've done great. And the Swedish ones with Jedward, for whatever it's worth, people have mixed opinions. Eurovision is about a song, and sometimes it's kind of gimmicky and a bit kitschy. And I think they achieved that with Jedward.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
like Jedward got you back into the top 10, and
Exactly.
like whatever Jedward did right, because people got behind it.
100%. I always say this, like, but Story of My Life is kind of an exception to it. Like, a Eurovision smash doesn't necessarily always cross over to top 40 radio. Story of My Life did actually do that, but you know, and Jedward's songs probably at the time didn't sound anything really like what was happening on Irish radio, but it works for the Eurovision.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of it's I think since then it's changed so much since then. So like now you could hear songs that would be a lot more sort of in Eurovision on the radio. For example, you know, like with Think About Things and Story of My Life, and I think also My Last Breath as well got into the top 40 as well, I think at one
Yes.
point as well. So it's really good to see that, you know, obviously Eurovision and the charts, they are separate things, but when they do merge together, then that's obviously like a fantastic bonus.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you can cross over, like Euphoria was one of the first, obviously outside of Waterloo and like Celine going back that far, but like in the past, you know, 20 years, let's say, like Euphoria has had like number ones and number twos all over the world outside of the Eurovision. So, you know, yeah, that's definitely changed things a lot. And I think for England and Ireland, My Last Breath and Daddy Fryer, you know, going into the top 20 is very important, because I think in the past few years, England and Ireland have fallen into this. Not everybody, obviously, not yourselves, but a lot of people laugh at the Eurovision, and it's become just a complete joke. And I think with songs crossing over, it's really going to help bring back that credibility.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I find absolutely sort of fascinating about what you've said is um, the whole idea of Eurovision being something that isn't just a song contest. It's got something that's so much more powerful behind it and so much meaning and sort of that movement, that collectiveness to it. And I feel like that really comes through in the song as well. Certainly for me as an LGBT woman, it's so nice to see that sort of joyous representation.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
that's so important. And that's one of the reasons why I completely fell in love with the song. Um, I feel like one of the things that's come through in what you said is the authenticity behind it, and the way you talk about it is that it's a song that is really meaningful to you. It felt wrong hearing other people singing it, and RT were getting very much behind what you saw for the song. And
Yes.
I find that absolutely fascinating. So what sort of elements would you want to sort of take forward with that?
That's a great question. Well, I think the relationship, like you just said, was established with RTE, with Michael Keeley and the team. You know, we eventually got on the right on the same page with myself and Philly McMahon with This Is Pop Baby. So I think I would love to carry over if I can, and I'm trying to. Um, Control is the wrong word, but I think that respect that all three of us had in creating a very quick team and in keeping this same honest but passionate approach to next year, and just like pure passion to want to create this for Ireland again. You know, I have completely I have stopped working on anything else that I was working on, and this has become like a full-on pure passion project. I'm working on songs in Nashville and demos until I can create something bigger and better, hopefully, than Story of My Life that connects with even more people. So I think if I can continue our mutual respect and our mutual direction with RTE, that's what I would love to carry over for next year.
Yeah, and you're already doing really well with that, because aren't you now working with like some Swedish producers and sort of getting a few demos together? We've seen a few things on social media. So are we expecting any other kind of new singles coming out very soon? Because obviously you've just come out with Gold, which is a fantastic song. I cannot stop listening to it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, Gold was a good one. Again, another song that I had, and a couple of DJs and different people were going to release it, but it just kind of made sense. I wanted to show another side fairly quickly after Story of My Life to the Irish people and any of the other European, Eurovision heads that were following what was going to be the next step. I wanted to release this song and, show them a bit more of a poppier side to me. Like, I've been doing pop top lining for the past 10 years and working with very different types of singers and artists. And I'm not just in this pop rock bubble that some people love, but some people don't like. So I did want to release that song. It made sense as a summer song. So I think with these sessions, just having finished them in Nashville, there's a couple of good songs. Not the winner. The winning song has not been written yet. I have not gotten it. And then, I've connected with a few of. I worked in Stockholm for almost 3 years a long time ago when I wrote my album Unbeautiful there with Max Martin. So I've reconnected with some of the Swedish producers that I know there, and some new ones, and some Eurovision songwriters that I won't say who they are because I'm holding off on that to make everybody very excited once I get into Stockholm after I do some quarantining in Ireland first. But yeah, there's some very, very special writers and producers who have actually reached out to me to get the sessions going because they loved Story of My Life. They loved what I did with Max forever ago. And I do think Story of My Life is very much in keeping with a very Swedish pop melody, even though it was the Irish entry. So they're very excited. I'm very excited. And I know I'll have a few songs, hopefully an EP for next year to go in and around whatever song I can get. I mean, and all this is like fingers crossed. I'm not confirming anything.
Oh, I thought we were going
Aw.
to get a bit of an exclusive here.
Exclusive.
So like, oh.
I would love to, but I love Michael Keeley so much, and I love RTE, and I am completely on the same page with them that we will green light it as soon as that song is mixed and mastered, and I can't say that has happened yet. So I'm working on it as hard as I can.
And we can't wait to hear
Me
what comes
too.
out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a fantastic set. I can see it.
Definitely trying.
Yeah, I was just wondering as well, because obviously you've shown a few sides of what you can do. So, I mean, compare Story with My Life to Gold.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, going forward, have you actually had an actual thought which direction you prefer going forward to, or you kind of like a mix of both?
Yeah, another great question. I think see, both of those songs are two different sides of me, but they are very much me. I'm still very, very honest in sonically and lyrically in those songs. Like, I love pop rock, but I love pop music as well. I love country music. So I think the song that will touch people and affect people the most will still be honestly me. So it will be a mix of all of that. I have been leaning heavily towards more of the up tempo in the sessions, I will say that. But that doesn't mean that a ballad couldn't fly out in Sweden and it be an absolute killer. Because I was more so known for doing ballads, back in the day on my album. So I think, to kind of answer your question, if I am answering your question, it will be a cocktail between Gold and Story of My Life. But definitely more modern. It will be modern. It won't have that nostalgic feel, I promise.
Oh no, but we get the best of both worlds with that, so I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, people always kind of saw kind of nostalgia as something that's really bad, but nostalgia is always something that's actually kind of a good thing to kind of look back on. Because I heard so many people, because I'd shown a lot of my friends sort of the songs going into Eurovision before it was cancelled, and when Story of My Life came up, everyone's first thought was, yes, it's Katy Perry sounding like, but that wasn't a bad thing. And they actually were really enjoying it. So obviously, there is still a little bit of a sort of a guilty pleasure element in that. And I think that's something you could definitely like capitalize off of, I think.
Yeah, and I genuinely was using that as a kitschy part of the song. It does have a nostalgic feel. It is a genre that I do very well. I definitely know how to rock that out. We did mix it in a very similar version to Teenage Dream. Like, all of the things that people heard made sense. Nothing was written copying off it, but it is mixed in a very similar sonic tonality. So when it hits through the radio, that people heard exactly what I wanted them to hear. And maybe I have a question for you guys. I had, there was a mixed bag of reactions to it being like quote unquote nostalgic, or some people heard it as outdated. But I found, Think About Things to be nostalgic and had such a flavor of a lot of 70s, 80s, even 90s, French disco pop. And I thought that was fantastic. So I had wondered, what was the difference between like a female artist, I thought, doing a nostalgic song, and a male artist doing a nostalgic song. I had felt sometimes a lot of separatism between those two things. And maybe that's a question of what you guys think, why maybe a male artist can do it and a female artist can't do it.
Ooh, that's a very deep question. I love that.
It's a really tricky
Hard to
one for
answer
me
because I had Story of My Life higher than Think About Things.
I prefer Story of My Life. So
Yeah.
Both of
We're
them.
we're all on the same page here. The Story of My Life kind of edges out a bit higher than Think About Things.
All right, well then you answer my question.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I do see where you're coming from, because obviously, like, they're kind of similar styles of music, and obviously with Daddy Frere, I find it's more kind of disco inspired, more so than sort of pop rock. So maybe like, obviously disco is now sort of seen as sort of coming back as like a retro sort of genre that's kind of coming back. So that could possibly be fitting more into that sort of niche. But obviously, you know, both you and Daddy have like the same level of sort of professionalism and quality, and like the amount of work that you both put into your songs, I think, is fantastic. And you know, both of you have managed to write and mix such fantastic songs. You know, like you should be held in the same regard. That's just my opinion anyway, but
No,
but
that's very. It's just, it has been an interesting thing that I have watched and monitored of how people would describe one as nostalgic and cool, and one as outdated and you know, this, you can't even listen to it. So it's just been, I've just been, as an artist, as a songwriter, taking myself out of it, just monitoring how people discuss songs, because I think it's very important with the Eurovision to really know what's going on in people's heads and ears when they're hearing something. Since I'm now going to try and move forward and write something even bigger.
oh yeah, we can see it now. It's going to be bigger than us. It's going to be bigger than you and me. I'm sorry, I had to work that in. But there's something that I really wanted to ask. It's like, obviously, like since the cancellation of the contest, you know, a lot of the fans have been very interactive and stuff. So like, what has been your experience of like the Euro fandom?
Oh my God, I love it. Like, I thought I was a fan, and I am like not a fan in comparison to all you guys. Like, I'm complete useless. So I've just enjoyed their passion. Like, it has relit that same feeling that I got when I was watching, you know, Niamh Kavanagh. I'm like, oh my God, like people are still obsessed with this in Ireland and England, like anywhere that I've talked to, like podcasts in Spain, like it's made like my passion grow even more. Like I thought I was a big fan, but to see that people do these, you know, these scoreboards like every other weekend, and they're like talking about Melfest and Melfest from 10 years ago. It's like unbelievable. So it's made me so happy. It has given me a lot to think about as far as a songwriter. And also, you know, I just really I wanted to connect even more so, I think, because it never happened on the night. And I felt so let down, and I saw online and on people's faces just how upset people were that they thought we had such a shot this year, and that it didn't happen. So I wanted to physically do whatever I could possibly do online to talk and make people feel good and enjoy the song and enjoy new music as much as I could from my apartment.
And you did. That when you had that live stream on Instagram when it was the final of like Eurovision Europe Shine a Light, and that was just a big way to just cap the whole sort of season off. I think it was like so fun.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was definitely fun. I'm glad we pulled it off. I'm glad we, you know, our neighbors didn't go crazy, and it was just, it was a fun night. We wanted a bit of release too. You know, we were so upset. We had 20 people that was going to be flying, our family and friends, over to Rotterdam, and we thought, you know what better way to have a bit of a party after, because we didn't know what Shine a Light was going to be even like. So I thought, let's do something fun. Let's have what we would have a dance party in the house, and let's try and live stream it and play some great remixes of Eurovision songs that I love and I know the fandom loves. So it was so much fun. And again, another just way that I could perform for everybody without getting on that stage.
Oh, I think you did a fantastic job, and I think everyone who I knew who was watching the live stream, I think they all just enjoyed it, and I thought it was like the perfect way to kind of end the whole thing, because you know we needed a party because we weren't going to be getting one in Rotterdam, so it was like we had to make do with what we had, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
and then what we
dear.
got was so amazing anyway. Like we got the whole home concerts, which was wonderful.
Yes.
And sort of all of the other extra online content as well.
Yeah, and I'm you know, I'm so glad that they did that. You know, initially when I flew out of Dublin and back to New York, it kind of all hit me up in the air, and I was so upset and so bummed out, and straight away I had to record. I think one of the first ones was the Spanish pre-party, and I was sitting trying to figure out, how do I even do this song acoustically? Like, it's such a big track, like it's supposed to have gang vocals. It's hard enough to do even as a big song like live anyway, but how do you do this acoustically, and I was so upset recording the Spanish one. But it eventually, I started to kind of get into a groove with how to do it acoustically, and it kind of took on a new life for me anyway. I don't know, like whatever else anyone felt when they were watching those things. It kind of felt another nice way to connect with everybody. And I'm so glad that, you know, the Eurovision, the EBU, or in themselves decided to do and ask for a lot of those home shows.
Yeah, exactly. And you also took part in Eurovision Home Concerts yourself. So what was it like kind of reworking another sort of Eurovision songs to fit you? Like obviously because it was up to the public to decide what you were singing.
Yeah, and well, I will say they did you know, ask us for a few of the songs that, you know, we would be okay performing. So I had I think I gave In Your Eyes, and then John Lundvik's one, Too Late for Love, so which is what I ended up singing. But yeah, like I had been obsessed with that song and Arcade from that year, and I think it was another proponent of why I entered. Because I was like, oh, there's really good like radio songs coming right now in the Eurovision. Like this is a good time to enter song. Unfortunately, it was the worst time to enter a song. But yeah, working the Too Late for Love was fun. I just broke it down into like a piano and recorded it with some claps, and I felt like that came across pretty well. You know, look, I'm a massive fan of the Swedish writing, and you know, I could never lie about that. So I love that song.
And I think it definitely shows as well because you then went on to cover Bulletproof by Daughter. And I think that's
Yes.
I think that is actually quite possibly one of the best covers I've ever seen of a song. Because I think like the emotion comes through like so much better when it's like done acoustically. And I think that like the way like your version of it, I think was like so good, I think.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, again, watching, you know, the mamas and daughter go head to head, and that Melfest was a nail biter, because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be up against one of these, and both of these songs are fantastic. So when I got to, you know, do the acoustic performances of that song, I just loved it. It's a great song. The melodies they can stand by themselves. The concept is great. The chorus is just perfect. So again, it's another great example of, you know, how the Swedish do it. And I would love moving forward, even without me, that Ireland can kind of follow suit and like really dig into the melodies the way the Swedes do, in an Irish way, obviously.
In an Irish way, so that has to include some form of like almost Celticness in that.
Oh God, you know, there's been a lot of producers, I will say, in Nashville where we're saying, well, can you do something in Irish? Will you say something in Gaelic, or will you try something like you guys had mentioned in your podcast, like a bit more in the voice vein, like a bit more fairy tale like, or a bit more in the tin whistle world? And I'm always down to explore. I just don't know if that will be me.
Oh yeah. Who knows? Maybe like next year the song that might finally get sent will have like a little bit of Irish in it, and I think that will just like resurge popularity in the language, because I obviously like you've been in Ireland every now and again, so obviously you kind of see like Irish doesn't really have that much of a place in Ireland at the moment, so it's kind of be nice to kind of get it off into the music scene.
Well, look, like I said, I will try and explore it. If I can make it work on one of my melodies, I will do my very best.
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah. Even if it's one word, then I've pleased a lot of people if I can throw in one.
That's it. If everyone can do, if someone can get, say, like a Kubla Fuckle, then I think you should be fine.
I mean, to be fair, it has happened before in Eurovision where, you know, even if it's just like a word or two and it's a hook, and it just ends up being memorable. Like Bulgaria's done it in 2016, where most of the songs in English, but the hooks in Bulgarian, and it suddenly became a top 5.
True, and we can't forget now Husavik. It's part.
Oh yes.
Of course, how could we forget?
I know, you're forgetting a major factor of mixed languages.
Oh yeah,
I'm too busy listening to Ya Ya Ding Dong.
Ya Ya Ding Dong.
Oh my goodness!
My favorite.
Talk about a surge.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, Icelandic is going to be through the roof now.
Yes, 100%.
Definitely. So just kind of, what are some of like your other kind of favorite sort of Eurovision songs that maybe like are outside of just maybe Ireland? You know, obviously you've sort of mentioned a couple like, Euphoria but what's like sort of like the standout one for you, like sort of recently?
Oh God. What has been a standout of the past few years? I mean, I'm trying to think back a few. 2019 was so good. Like Arcade really still stands so well. That I know I keep saying winning songs. I should talk about songs that probably came last. But again, I'm not as big. I'm like you guys. The fandom is unbelievable. You know every single song, and sometimes I forget a lot of the great ones. But Arcade was so good. I even liked like the top 5 of last year was fantastic. Like all of them.
Oh yeah, what was it? We had Russia, we had Italy, we had Soldi. Soldi was such a good song as well.
So good.
Yeah, and I can't even remember who.
Wasn't it? She got me. She got.
Oh, She Got Me.
She Got Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also
And Too
had
Late for Love.
Too Late for Love, and honorable mention to Spirit in the Sky, of course.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, and Proud as well, because obviously you were
Yes.
talking about sort of the perception of sort of women in music, and of course Proud was such like a message and such a moment for that, of course, because women sort of being dragged down, and like this is their chance to finally like speak up. So Story of My Life and Proud almost kind of shared some sort of thematic similarities, but tackle it in
Totally.
just such a strong way.
Yeah, no, she was great. That vocal was amazing. That performance was so good. And I mean, we can't forget that dress ever. So.
Oh my God. I love that the green was just fantastic. We're gonna have to like get that going. But in the future, I think if you do end up going into Eurovision, you definitely need to keep the pink suit, because I think that literally it's gotten to a point now with me and my friends, because my friends have sort of started getting into Eurovision as well. They just know you as the pink suit woman now, so it's like your defining character.
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you a little thing about behind the scenes of the pink suit. So, this is Pop Baby, Philly McMahon. He was getting a whole new crew together, completely outside of RTE, creative vision, stylist, hair, the whole lot. And I was working with them, every single day before we got announced. I was in Dublin, kind of behind the scenes, like secretly working on this, like dying to tell everybody. So I was, we were doing a lot of different styling, and myself and Sal, the stylist, she was like, we're really seeing this this oversized suit. It'll work great in the video that you're working on with Kate Dolan. And I was going to try all these different outfits. And, we sat down for a meeting and we talked about different colors. And she was like, well, what colors will you not wear? And I was like, I'm not into pink. Like, it's not me.
Oh no.
I'm very much in the jeans and t-shirt girl, like, but I'm down. Like, I love the kind of high fashion oversized suits. Like, let's do that. I'm down for that. And then they came out with about 6 different pink suits. And I tried them all on, and that was the winning one. And I can always say when I'm wrong, and I was wrong, because that suit has become its own. I think there might even be a Twitter account. I don't know if they're still running it, but it's definitely its own thing, and it worked great in that video for what the director and myself and Philly wanted to accomplish. But I don't think there'll be a pink suit next year.
Oh no. Oh, we'll have to do like a kind of like a funeral procession now for the pink suits.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll have a nice like little shot of it in the video at the start of the video or something, like, like giving it a little nod, a little homage to the suit, and then moving on.
Honor to the pink suit.
Honor to the pink suit and progression forward. I can see it.
Exactly. We're in a green suit this year.
Oh yeah.
Nah.
But as well, you're representing Ireland now. It's our national color. You have to be carrying it on.
100%. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. But just to kind of maybe wrap things up a little bit, but what for you going forward is like the main thing you'd want to say to sort of like the Euro fandom or to RTE or just to anyone listening to this in general?
Whew, okay. Let me try and say this in a few sentences without rambling on.
Okay, go as long as you want.
Okay. We might be here for a while. No, I promise. I think, look, I love the Eurovision. I love Ireland in the Eurovision. I definitely did my very best with Story of My Life and sent, one of the better songs that I've ever written in my career. I might not have the celebrity or the, the number ones that a lot of the The Voice artists from different countries have. But I will say that, I'm completely committed to figuring out what this song would be to get us back in that top 10. And I'm going to try my very best in when I bring home 3 or 4 songs to RTE for them to listen to and, decide on. So all I can say is I'm here. I'm doing more work than any company, even RTE themselves, doing. I'm completely doing this 24/7, and I won't stop until I give my best as a songwriter, and an artist for Ireland. Hopefully next year.
I can see it now. We're going to will you on. We're going to start a campaign now to get you to represent Ireland next year, because it's worth it. Like, literally, I think we've said it on this podcast several times that you've probably been one of the most sort of personable people to ever sort of go to Eurovision, because you're very interactive with the fans. And like, I think an artist that's able to sort of take the opinions of the fan base on board and like work on that into their music, I think it's something that you never really get that often. And I think it's something that we're very much cherishing. So honestly, thank you so much for everything that you've been doing, because I think, it's only fair. You've been so lovely to us. It's, we have to repay you back somehow. So we'll all vote for you anyway next year when you finally go, because we're going to make it happen.
I appreciate that. No, and I feel all the love, and I don't mind some of the hate. Like, this is what happens when you put art out into the world. You can't please everybody, but I'm doing my best to please everybody, and I'm on the same page with RTE. They said, look, Lesley, this is yours. You just got to write that song. So I will, put my work in. I'll be blood, sweat, and tears until I get it. And if I don't, the best of luck to whoever does it next year, even if next year even happens. Let's please God COVID calms down and we can find a new normalcy again. But I appreciate all you guys and all of the fandom, and your love for Eurovision has made my passion so much stronger. So I hope we all get to meet next year and we can have another Eurovision party in person.
Oh, I can see it happening now. If not, we'll still have one anyway, socially distanced anyway.
Yes, of course, of course.
Is there anything else that we'd like to say to Lesley just before we start to wrap things up?
Well, other than that, I hope you get to promote your music and get out when all of this has calmed down, because I think part of the fact that the 2020 contest didn't happen is that not much people got to see you live, other than the fact when you performed Story of My Life in Dublin one time after you got announced. And some of the Euro fans were like, oh no, we missed out on seeing Lesley, because I know some of my friends that was there in Dublin and saw you perform live, and they'll hold on to that forever. And we're all just like, great, we missed out. Nice.
Yeah, no, look, if I could right now, if things were a little bit better with the pandemic, I would be, on my own money flying to the countries to do the version of the pre-parties that were missed, because I love performing live, and like that's one of the things I was so sad that we didn't get to do, and really didn't get to obviously it was a disaster on the Late Late Show, so no one really saw it except in the George that night or in Mother. So we were really just starting to figure out what that was going to look like live. So I just hope that I can, get back home to Ireland, do some in-person gigs, and then take that, to London, to Spain, to Rotterdam, and for people to actually see the proper performances and some new material.
Mm-hmm.
We're so
it's
excited.
going to be fantastic.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's just,
Yay!
like, wishing you the best, and like just hoping you get to Rotterdam next year, because you do deserve it.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for love. And you guys keep doing what you're doing, because it is just such a lovely, wonderful world. And like in a time where there can be so much hate and people just shitting on everybody, the fandom within the Eurovision is just absolutely fantastic. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you for all of the love and for the joy and the happiness that you share with everyone. Yeah, it's wonderful.
No problem. Thanks, guys. And
No
I'll talk
worries.
to you all very, very soon.
So yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode of that Eurovision podcast. Thank you so much to Lesley for joining us. It has been so lovely getting to talk to her and just listen to her stories of her life, and just getting used to just. I'm sorry, it had to get worked in. But yeah, so in the meantime, please do continue to follow us on all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at That Euro Podcast. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So please do follow us there, so you always get notified whenever a new episode comes out. And yeah, in the next few weeks, we'll be carrying on with sort of continuing with these country perspectives and year perspectives, and we may also have a couple of other surprises for you along the way. But yes, so shall we all say goodbye?
Bye.
I don't care what you say.